all in one place. So this is the Commonplace binder from the Commonplace binder 101 playlist. I'm going to put this down. All right, so how I set up my Commonplace binder. That was the thing I was just holding, and I've been doing the same thing. So a Commonplace binder is basically a Commonplace book, but in binder form. And so what that means is I keep it in a place just like a book, except with rings. And so what that means is the pages can move around. And because the pages can move around, there isn't really any reason to have page numbers, because the page numbers will change. Just like the lighting has probably changed a little bit because the fan is spinning. And so as there are no page numbers, there is no index. And because there's no index, there's a contents page. So, yeah, all in one place. What do we put in the Commonplace book? We put everything in there. So the way to set it up is you just get a binder and you just do your thing. So that will probably require paper because you're going to need something to write on, and you will probably need a pencil or pen because you are going to need something to write with. However, if it's a binder, you can actually print out your stuff. But if you print it and you put it in a binder, you have to hole punch it because otherwise it won't fit into the rings. The only other way to get around that is to have some sort of like little plastic thing for everything to slide into. So that way you can look through it because it's kind of like looking through glass, except you're looking through plastic. It's just clear plastic. Yeah. Reminders to myself. Make sure to get to the second note card before the second minute. Also, remember to not look at myself. Ooh, look at that. Hand up close. I gotta look at the camera. Well, just the part of my phone that serves that function. Full of new ideas. So hopefully, as you've been watching this, you have gotten a little into it. You've been thinking some thoughts, getting some new ideas. But one of the main purposes of the Commonplace binder is not to fill it with your own ideas. It's normally to fill it with other people's ideas. Now, at the beginning, you can fill it with other people's ideas. You can fill it with your ideas. It's fine. If we get very strict about the technical definition of a Commonplace book, a Commonplace binder won't really count. But then again, there are various definitions. So stating one specific definition of what a Commonplace book is kind of like stating exactly what a Roman soldier was. It's like, which era are we, like, are we talking about the city-state? Are we talking about the Republic? Are we talking about the Empire? What are we talking about? Because there are a whole bunch of different variations. Personal curation. So maybe your book is your own Roman Empire, you know, like you're only putting the Roman facts in there. You're talking about the stuff before the Roman Empire, like, oh, what about the Roman kingdom? Do we count the kingdom? Isn't that more like a mythological thing? Doesn't really matter. Authenticity at scale. So this is whatever is authentically you, even if you are grabbing other people's quotes and stuff. So just in the same way that your YouTube homepage is not necessarily totally random, it's kind of curated to what you want. Even though it's not really a personal curation, the algorithm is still showing you stuff that's for you. And so this is kind of the same thing, except you are doing the collecting and the curation, and then afterwards you are diving into some things a little bit more deeply, rather than just clicking on the next video that gets recommended. Although most of you appear to be coming to my videos from that process, so I guess I shouldn't roast it too much. It's a good job for me. Oversharing pain. So maybe instead of just oversharing delight, like I was just doing right now, or oversharing pain like I've done in the past in some videos. I think there was a recent video where I complained about having to give someone money for something. Stuff related to that is why it's been over a week since the last time I've recorded, but you know, the videos are still coming out twice a week, so I'm doubtful that anybody noticed. Yeah, but if people are tired of hearing all the sad and tragic backstories of the people in their lives, maybe they just want those people to like write this stuff down in books or in some other place where, you know, the friend doesn't want to have to deal with it, the coworker doesn't want to have to deal with it, the relative doesn't want to deal with it. It's like, yes, we all have bad stuff. I can deal with it for one day. I don't want to hear it for 6 months. So, like, there's a certain point at which people are willing to deal with it. But then after that point, it's like, come on, man. Reinforce your foundation. So maybe there's some foundational things that keep you from oversharing the pain. I'm not saying to bottle up everything. Sorry, thought there was a new smell in the room for a second. Actually, one of the benefits of having reinforced the foundation of this building is I don't have to worry about random gases coming up out of the ground, because I think in this area there's a radon risk. So, one of the benefits of living in an area with lots of limestone is it's very easy to make concrete, but on the other hand, it's also very easy for stuff to come up through the ground when it's made of Swiss cheese. Dormant Insecurities. So, am I worried about random holes in the ground? Not when it relates to this. I am a little bit worried about random videos in the playlist not really being up to the level of quality I want them to be at. Now, we've definitely had some videos like that before, and we'll probably have some videos like that in the future. But if we can keep it to 10 videos below average and 10 videos above average, I'll be pretty happy with that. I'm kind of mentally already focused on next year, which is not really good, but yeah, if you write your stuff out, you might just end up writing out your insecurities. Like when you're setting the stuff up, you might find out you're only writing down the things that like make you feel safer. You're like, the world is a very scary place and I have to keep my stuff in here because otherwise someone's going to go through it. Or maybe you're just writing down stuff to solve problems of things that don't actually exist as problems. And so it might just end up being a book of insecurities, which is okay. Like you'll read through it and you'll be like, oh, yeah, I should probably do something about that. Divide things easily. So one of the benefits of writing everything down, even if it is just the insecurities, is you're going to be able to categorize everything. So maybe you're like, insecurity 1, insecurity 2, insecurity 3. Probably not. But, if you have everything in a binder, it's a lot easier than a book because you can move the stuff around. So if you find out that 5 pages are mostly dedicated to one specific thing, and then 5 pages are mostly dedicated to another kind of thing, well, you can have the main category and then have the 2 additional categories. There you go. And then also probably have a contents page at the beginning so you can be like, okay, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. We did it. Rock the boat. Yeah, so this might upset some people. The videos haven't really gotten any hate. There were some people who were a little bit confused on my best performing video because it was worded in a way in the title where it kind of sounded like something else, but it didn't really sound like something else. Basically, it was just like a poorly constructed title and it was really long and it was related to a lot of things. So people showed up and they're like, hey man, what is this? And I was like, well, I mean, technically it's explained in another video, but normally all the stuff for one video should be within the one video. Like you shouldn't have videos to explain the other videos. And that was just like an early mistake on the channel. Rock the boat. Yeah, you don't have to worry about like saying the wrong thing because you're writing stuff on paper. So like, how is that gonna rock the boat? Now, if you keep printing this stuff on like your household computer or I guess it would be bad if you were using a household computer. I don't know if people really have those anymore. I think most people have personal computers now. Or they, just use a phone. But yeah, if you're using all the public stuff and then you print some super private stuff and some other people see it, then they might get a little upset about it. But just don't do that. That's not good for you. That's not good for anybody else. Knowing what works. So what works when you're setting up a Commonplace binder? Well, what worked for me was not knowing what I wanted to do and using it as a way to get rid of junk. Because one of the reasons to have a Commonplace is to collect ideas and scraps and all this other stuff from a multitude of different sources. And so what I did is I got my school notes and I just trimmed them down. So, all the stuff for French, it's basically gone. No, it's actually not basically gone. Now, I don't really have access to it. I don't really know where it is right now because I ended up doing this thing where I eliminated most of the information by consolidating it. Basically, if there were 10 things that were useful on a page, I would write those 10 things down, and then I would just get rid of the other page. And so if you do that enough times, you're going to have everything go from like 100 pages all the way down to 1 page. The problem is, I had a bunch of sections like that, and I'm talking about like hundreds of sections, maybe like 800 roughly. And so if you have 800 different categories of stuff that's super consolidated and you're not looking at it all the time, that's not super useful, a lot of people will just say to throw it away. But I did this other thing, I like to call it deprioritizing the information. And so what that meant is I would just put it in another place, and theoretically I would look at it later, but usually I would never actually get to it. And so that's kind of where the French stuff went, because I don't really use French on a daily basis. Knowing what works? I don't actually know if I talked about that. I think we were just talking about rock the boat. So, knowing what works, sometimes it's just moving on to the next thing. Common ground. So maybe you feel like there's not really a lot of common ground in society right now, and if you make one of these things, it's gonna like be a little uncomfortable. Because you're going to make this place that's nice and stable, and then when you talk to other people, they're going to feel absolutely unhinged. And that is absolutely a risk. Don't ignore that as a problem. Because there are a lot of people that will just like watch content on a platform, not necessarily like the same platform, but assuming everybody is watching content, you might have some people who are only watching on like some far left platform, and other people who are only watching on a far right platform. And so then they'll talk, and they might actually only be saying things that are relevant in a specific online community. And so we've had that problem for a while, and it's not always just, you know, like far left and far right. Like there's a lot of other random stuff that gets pushed, but you might actually not have the common ground with yourself. Like you might set it up, it might be totally fine. But then you'll be writing down the things relevant to that specific time period. And so, for example, 2015, like 2015, is very different than 2025. Yeah. Like in 2015, Trump was kind of considered a joke candidate, and now in 2025, he was president, and now he's president again. So he's not really considered a joke candidate, he's just kind of the guy in charge. So, you know, life's crazy like that. And so sometimes if you're writing down, for example, political content, you might write down something as like a fringe idea, and then 10 years later you might look at it and be like, these notes are wildly inaccurate because this thing which was supposed to be fringe is now just like normal mainstream talking points. And so there is a little bit of a problem with you know, staying still and establishing common ground and reinforcing your foundation, because if you make everything super solid and it's not adaptable because, well, it's just kind of reality. Like, for example, if China or any other country has a one-child policy and people actually follow the law, the population will decrease unless there are just like a ton of people coming in from other places, or people all of a sudden invent immortality. Because like if you have 2 parents and 1 kid, that's a smaller population. And then when that's done to the entire population, like the population shrinks. This is not super complicated, but a lot of people don't understand basic concepts like that. So even if you find the common ground, even if you write it down, it can get really weird, because when I set my stuff up, I was looking at school notes, right? And school notes are normally considered fairly centrist because they're notes from school, you know, where we learn to like not eat glue sticks or crayons or whatever. Hopefully most people knew that beforehand, but you know, like, stay safe, don't do the dangerous things. Web of history. So I've been talking about history a lot. Earlier, I think over here-ish, we were talking about Romans. We are just roaming around. No, you might set up a web of history rather than just, this common ground thing, which I'm not really explaining properly. But if you have like chapters of your life or some sort of web of history, which sounds more like a community thing rather than a personal thing, you might set up something pretty cool. But who's going to use it? What is it for? Like, why is it there? Now, a lot of people have used Commonplaces as a way to process big ideas, but also to generate big ideas, and sometimes to store big ideas. And there are a whole bunch of other ways to explain it. And that's why this playlist is so long, because I don't know which thing people want to see from me. And so I'm just trying to hit everything a little bit. And so I guess I will be making a sort of web of history over the course of the lifetime of this channel, because I plan on basing the next playlist on this playlist, on whatever people like the most, and I'm getting rid of whatever people hated, so. Make it for yourself. So I'm talking about me making something for you, but realistically, you should make something for you, like, not for someone else. Because the whole point of making a private place to keep your stuff is that nobody looks at it, which is part of the reason this playlist is driving me crazy, because making things for myself is one particular skill set, and then making things for everyone else is a different skill set. And so I'm not really getting to do a lot of the work where I look through all my stuff and I make sure it looks great, and it makes me feel good because it's like I'm keeping a promise with myself. I'm going back, I'm looking through all my stuff, I'm making little edits, I'm moving the stuff around where it's supposed to go, and then I'm making projects based on that. And that's great. The problem is, this playlist is multiple projects at the same time. I have to learn how to record a video. I have to learn how to, make thumbnails, titles, descriptions. I have to post the things. I have to schedule the things. And it might sound like a lot of little things, and it is a lot of little things. And so I can write those little things down. However, I do need to at least look vaguely presentable. Like, I actually had to change my shirt before this video, not because the shirt looked bad. In fact, it's the shirt I used to record last time I recorded. But I like to make sure that when I record a set of videos that I'm wearing the same shirt during that recording session. So it's easier for me to know, and it's easier for other people to know. Because in the first video of a set, like this is the first video of a set I'm recording, it's normally a little bit more rambly. And so I think if people can see when I started the set of recordings, they'll know if they want to listen to the ramble or if they want to listen to the things at the end where I'm just kind of zooming through it, because I don't want to deal with anything. I just want to get it done. I want to go eat some chocolate. You know what I mean? It's time to relax. Align my skills. So when I was writing this out, I think I thought it was going to be align your skills. It's like align my skills. Why is it about me again? Like, this, technically it is how I set up my Commonplace binder. But really, I just, I grabbed the binders from school, and then I tried to squash all the stuff into one binder. And that's pretty much it. I added some tabs. I guess we could pick up this binder a little bit. So yeah, that's the front cover. Look at that. That's the list of 100 videos we're going through over the course of this playlist. Each one's just a keyword. Some of them are a little bit different. Like, for example, I think long is a category in here. Something like that. And I didn't include long in the title. It was just a note to make it a longer video, or things that happen in a longer video. And so this is the content section. Basically, I just write out whatever the thing is, and then I write it on a tab, and then I attach the tab to a page, and at the top of the page it also says whatever the title is. So I include the month, and the year, and the category. And when I redo it, it goes all the way in the back, and I will add it in the front as well. Just a little note as to where it is. But we're going to set that down again. Turbulent Time. Kind of talked about this earlier with the web of history and some other stuff from earlier, but it can be nice to try to establish a solid narrative. Just keep everything the same all the time. It's like, I don't want to have to learn about all this AI stuff, and people are freaking out about the climate, and it's really hot right now, and I just I really want to turn on the air conditioner, but I can't turn it on because it would show up in the recording. It'd be very loud. Oh my god. Someone just closed the door with so much force that it turned on the two computer monitors. So that's cool. Now we have lights again. What am I looking for? Yeah, turbulent time, turbulent door interactions, I guess. Uncertain future. So if you're not really sure what you want to do, you could always write out the plans. So some people have made videos on Commonplace planners. I don't think I've really watched any of those. I might have watched like one or two, but I have watched a lot of videos. Well, we can just say very easily, I've watched well over 10,000 videos during my life. Well over that. So I've watched a lot of videos. But this is kind of like my main hobby, which is a little awkward because, you know, there are a lot of videos coming out right now that are saying like, consumption isn't a hobby. And it's like, okay, look, don't roast me. Okay, we've got uncertain future, floor below chaos. Yeah, I've really had a good time like building a foundation and then reinforcing it. And as I said earlier, that's part of the reason why I'm so stressed about making this playlist, because I'm working on other people's stuff rather than working on my own stuff, and I know that's what having a job is like, but I'm not getting paid for this, and so it's like, if you're not getting paid, then set up the ways for someone to actually send you money if they want to do that. But I haven't done that. I've just been like, I have to do the thing. Set up. So how do you set the thing up? Not the way that I set this video up. This is structured horribly. So part of the reason for this is I tried something new for the last like 20 videos of the playlist. What I did is I built a big word bank, and then I just grabbed little bits to throw in, sort of Mad Lib style. So these are the only two that are here because of my actual data collection process to figure out what sort of keywords people would want. And all of this is just kind of random, which is not really a great way to do things, but I felt like, you know, I needed a little bit more of the authenticity at scale rather than just, you know, knowing what works from the keywords. So these are a lot more experimental, and they probably feel like it as well. So the way to set it up is you just grab a binder and you put some paper in it and you label it, and you keep doing that. Good job. Simple. It really is that simple. Some people will say that the material you gather should be a specific type of material, to the point where they might say it's like Christian quotes from famous people who talk about philosophy and were also religious, and then use their quotes to talk about something specific. And it's like you could go all the way down into a specific rabbit hole, but there's no real need to do that unless you're just your personal creation completely aligns with somebody else's model. But really, this is just like a fancy old note-taking method. So the next video is on personal commonplace. That is an abbreviated title of the next video, so I don't know exactly what that's going to be, even though I have written it out in the past. But that was weeks ago, so I will see you in the next one, hopefully, because this one's really long. So, bye!